welcome to my gardening vlog. This week, the lettuce harvest is full steam ahead. I fancy a few jalapeno peppers. Sweet, sweet strawberries. Let's have an update on my onions and shallots. And I'm including my weekly harvest. So we are full swing ahead into spring. We're coming up to the end of spring actually, and we've had some fantastic days here in Lincolnshire. It's a little bit overcast today, but it's going to come good, that's for sure. So I have now changed my vlog to a Tuesday night, because bringing it out on a Saturday, I was finding that it was just way too much overload of Saturday vlog, Sunday moon phase gardening. So I thought I would bring something out midweek other than my moon phase gardening or my gardening by the moon series. And here we go, we've got the old lawnmower going, so I hope you can hear me. It's a very noisy time in the summer, isn't it? So I am going to be bringing out my vlog now on a Tuesday evening, and I hope you enjoy. So on a leaves day on the moon phase calendar, it's always a really good chance to harvest lettuce, because the lettuce that you harvest on these particular days stays firm and fresh for longer, I have found actually. I mean, I do this moon phase gardening mainly for sowing and transplanting, but I have experimented with actually picking stuff on the days as well and tasting them to see if it's any different. But I must say that if you do harvest on a particular day, on a moon phase day, the produce lasts for longer. But it is my harvest day today, which is, it happens to be leaves day. So I'm going to harvest a few more lettuce. I harvested some of this Salanova the other day, and I also did a cos, and I noticed that on the cos it was like a slug city, but funnily enough the slugs didn't really go towards the Salanova, which was interesting. But I just want a bit of contrast, so I've got the leaf from the cos, I've got this Salanova, this beautiful soy rat one here, and I'm going to harvest this extra net, it's called, or actually they've changed the name now to Excavo. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the whole heads out, because I need this greenhouse pretty quick smart for my cucumbers. There we are, look at this, for a beautiful lettuce. Absolutely amazing. And the amount of leaf that is on these Salanovas, I talk about these Salanovas a lot, because the leaves that you get, it's absolutely jam-packed full of leaves. So that's coming home with us. The other thing that I need to get out of here, which Mr. N has already done a little bit of, is my calabrese, because that is starting to be ready. This calabrese I put in early in the year, because all I wanted from this calabrese, or actually broccoli if you call it broccoli, is the heads. I'm not going for side shoots. That is going to be my next lot of sowing of calabrese. So the one that I do early is always just for the heads. And then these plants are all coming out, and like I said, my cucumbers and my melons are going in here. Just looking what else might be ready. That one might be ready too. Let's take this one off. Oh, and I'll show you a really good example. If you see on the side there, see this little ditty coming out? Well, that would have been a shoot, an extra shoot. So you take off the head and leave that on, and then you would have gotten more shoots. But like I said, I do that later on in the season, because at this time of year, there's more than enough veg for us to be getting on with. I better cut that up, because Mr. N gets funny with me if I just throw that on the compost. But yeah, so I'm chopping these off just above soil level. I'm going to leave them for a bit, and then when I go to put my cucumbers in, I'll either dig them out, but they'll probably decompose by themselves, and then you can dig them out later. In between, which has not been as fast growing, are my graffiti cauliflowers. So I'm actually thinking of leaving them in here and putting my cucumbers, dot my cucumbers in between until these are actually ready. They're not even got little, I mean, they've got tiny, oh yes, they have. They've got tiny, tiny little heads on them, some of these plants. So they will come to something. So I'm going to leave them for the moment. I've got a few more calibres behind me. And then my beetroot is not ready yet. It's doing really well, actually, but it's not quite ready yet. So that will be in for a little bit longer as well. But I'll get on to harvesting all this stuff. So it's a fruits day on the moon phase calendar, and I am in my little greenhouse. I call this the emerald greenhouse. This is where I am setting up my chilies and peppers. And I'm just thinking whether I've got room in here for some aubergines as well, but I think they're probably going to go into the big greenhouse with my tomatoes, because I don't think I'm going to have room in here with the amount of chilies and peppers that I've got. So I've been bringing out all of my things from inside, from the dining room, and I have got my watering system set up in here. Now, this watering system I have mentioned before. It's by a company called Autopot, and it is a gravity-fed watering system. So you don't need any power, no electricity. There's no solar panels or anything like that. It just works by having a tank, which is behind me. And this is a 225 litre tank. It's a tank that actually folds up as well, so you can put it away in the winter if you don't use it all year round. And then you fill the tank with water, and you can also fill the tank with nutrients as well, with feed or whatever you want to do. And then it is fed through pipes all the way around to these pots that I've got here. And the pots that I have here look like this. That's Autopot there. They have underneath them, they have the holes in which the water is pulled up by the roots of the plants. You get a little kind of like this is like interfacing that you, that you use in sowing. You put that on the bottom so the soil doesn't go out of, come out of the actual pot. And these pots then sit in a receptacle. It's just a tray. And the tray is fed water through a valve system. And the valve system is very clever. So I have had an Autopot system in my big greenhouse for a few years now, and I absolutely love it. The great thing about it is that the plants take up what they need. So they're not on like a automatic system that will actually water the plants every day at a certain time for a certain length of time, and the plants may not need the water. This actually works on what the plants need, and it is very clever. So to set it up is really, really easy. And once it's set up, I leave them here. I'm not sure whether I'll leave this one here because this is where my citrus comes in the winter. But the one in the big greenhouse is set up all winter. And what I do is in the summer, I use it for tomatoes, for peppers, for cucumbers, whatever. You know, the pigeons are quite amazing. They just flap around. They poo everywhere as well. And then I use it in the winter as well for lettuce, for kales, whatever I grow in the winter. So I am just looking, this is the way I work with my planting of planting vegetables. Okay, I have a funny system, and I'm not sure whether everyone else gardens like this. So I love eating food. I love eating great food, really good quality food, and I love growing my own fruit and veg, full stop. So when I am making something, so if I'm looking for a recipe and I'm making something and I see something in there, let me just flick my microphones on. Yes, it is. And I see an ingredient in there that I can grow, I'll grow it. That's how I work. So that is how I have worked out what I enjoy growing all year round, by recipes and by stuff that I think to myself, I am going to grow that. So anyhow, I was doing a recipe last night. Crazy, isn't it? So I was doing a recipe last night and it called on some jalapenos. So I have got, look, I've got quite a lot of jalapenos here, but they're not ready. They were definitely not ready for the recipe. So I thought to myself, right, tomorrow I am going outside and I am going to pot up my jalapenos. All right, I haven't got room for all of my jalapenos in here because I only have 13 pots in this greenhouse. But I am going to put in definitely one jalapeno in one of these pots, and then the rest of the jalapenos will go in other pots and they will all be in this greenhouse. I don't know how I'm going to move and get inside and out of this greenhouse, but last year was pretty bad as well. So what jalapenos have I got here? I have 3 different types of jalapeno. I have the early one, which doesn't actually look so early because the other ones look in much better condition. But these seeds were quite old actually, and I'm lucky to have gotten 2 of these. So I've got the early jalapeno. I have the one called, oh, that's not it. This one. This is called Zapotec. I grew this last year and I really liked it, this one. It has like a kind of crinkly skin to it, and it's great, really great. And the other one that I have, which is my favorite, is Tam jalapeno. And this is doing really well, this plant. Now, jalapeno plants are big, big plants. Not as big as this plant. This is a padron. And this is definitely going to go in a big pot. But I am going to put the biggest one here, which is the Tam. And this I have chosen. I have 2 size pots in here. So I have a 15-litre pot and I have an 8.5-litre pot. They are going to be for your more kind of diddy, smaller chilies and peppers, because I've got peppers to go in here as well. And then these ones are going to be for the bigger plants, the plants that need a lot more going on. And this is going to be more than enough, this actual pot for this jalapeno. And I can't wait to get it started. What the auto pot people recommend you do is you plant up all your pots, and for the first, well, week or so, really, at this time of year, you can just give them a little bit of a water. I'm not going to water these much because it's still a little bit cool at night, to tell you the truth. So I'm not going to water them much. Chilies and peppers don't like to be waterlogged. They like to be kind of medium watered. And then they say the tank will be full, and then you switch on the system. So you get them settled in first and then you switch the system on after that. So when I do that, I shall show you exactly how it works. So yeah, let's plant a few of these jalapenos so that when I do the recipe that calls for jalapenos again, I'll actually have some. Oh dear. Also in here, I have some very nice aubergines. So my aubergine dilemma, or eggplant dilemma. I have stopped growing aubergines or eggplants from seed. I stopped 2 years ago because I find that here in the UK, I just can't get the yields that I want. I mean, you can get some pretty good aubergines, but you've got to really start them early. They're extremely sensitive. So now I actually get my plants ordered in from companies. So I want to show you. I've got 2 varieties here. This one here, but I wanted to show you what I like, and that is, I'm just trying to find a really good example. This is a really good example, actually, but it's not what I'm looking for. I'll have to show you this one here. I get grafted. Mainly I get grafted. These ones here are not grafted, but these ones are grafted. Actually, I think these might be grafted. They look like they're grafted, yeah. Grafted aubergines. So they're grafted onto a rootstock, and I'm not sure what rootstock they use. Sometimes they use tomato rootstock. Let me just take this out of the pot so I can see. But the beauty of having no, I can't really tell. The beauty of having grafted aubergines is they grow really fast. So these came to me about when did I get these? About a week ago, and look how fantastic they are. Great plants, great plants. I usually get the little Thai aubergines, but I haven't been able to find them this year. I haven't been able to find the grafted ones, which is a little bit of a pity. It obviously means that they're not that popular, which is a bit unfortunate. But here I have two types of aubergine. I've got one called Black Pearl, which is your normal stock standard one, and I've got this one as well, which is Bonica, and this is a really good grower. Bonica's a very tasty aubergine. It's quite creamy in texture. So I've got a few of those there, because I do like aubergine. What else have we got here? We've got lots of peppers and lots of what do you call it, chilies, and these are my ockers. So these need to be repotted now into the next size pot up, or maybe even a bigger one. Ocker is a tuber, and you can eat the leaves, but the leaves are quite full of oxalic acid, so they're a little bit like an extra strong version of spinach. So if you have things like kidney problems or anything, just be careful eating the leaves. But the tubers are delicious. The tubers are like a lemony flavour, and they're really nice. They're a really good alternative to potatoes. So let's just get a few of these jalapenos out, and I might even do a padron. See, the padrons are really, look at this. These were the first ones that I sowed and planted. I sowed these on the 18th of December, so they're well and truly ready to come out. Really good quality plants, actually. So I'm going to plant these up. I'm just putting them in a multi-purpose, and then they should be fine, because the multi-purpose has already got nutrients in it, so that will last them for about a month, maybe 5-6 weeks, and then I start feeding them with my chili focus, which is the best feed. Absolutely fantastic feed. Okay, so let's do that, and I will see you later. It's a fruits day on the moon phase calendar, and I've just come out into the greenhouse to pick my breakfast. And as you can see, my breakfast is looking very, very yummy. I don't quite know what this is growing in here, but anyhow, obviously came in the compost. So let's have a little look at the fruits in the greenhouse just quickly. We've got the strawberries. These strawberries are called Sweetheart. They are an early strawberry, but they are just so delicious. So if you want to grow these outside, they're really, really great outside. I've also got them outside. The other fruit that I want to show you in here are my courgettes. Look at that. First, this is the earliest courgette, I think, Mr. N, that we've ever had, actually. So I've got 2 pots here so far. This one's growing as well. And inside I've got another couple of plants. And what I thought I would do this year is I thought I would stagger them. So I've got these early ones in here, and then the other ones I'm going to start putting out on the allotment as well. And then when these finish, these should probably finish, I would say end of July they'll finish. The other ones will be taking over as well.
Are they staying in the greenhouse?
Yes, for the moment. Well, no, they'll go out. I'll put them on the patio actually when we start to. Yeah, they're going to stay in a pot. And it's a great way to actually start off courgette, because we quite like zucchini or courgette early in the year, because you kind of want that freshness. And I think that is all the fruits that we've got in here, because the peas, you can just see on the outside, we've got the peas. Look how many peas are there. We've got the peas, we've got the broad beans, they're all outside now. And also the mange tout in the garden are ready. So that's very exciting. So let's go in and have these strawps. So these are the mange tout. These are the Oregon sugar pod, and I have put them, I think this is a great idea. I've put them in the back of this border up against the, well, the walls behind it. But what you've done is you haven't kind of used the whole of the bed for peas, because normally we put them up a kind of A-frame and they use the whole bed, but the rest of the bed has cabbage. The komatsuma is nearly finished, and we've got these beautiful lettuce. So I'm going to do this from now on. I've got another lot of mange tout inside, or what do you call them? Snow peas. And so I'm going to do the same in another bed. And I've also got a bed behind Mr. N with my sugar snaps as well. They're a little bit further behind these because I staggered them as well. But as you can see, these are ready. They are gorgeous. Now, Oregon sugar pod peas, you can actually eat as the mange tout, or you can let them grow into proper peas. They stay delicious, they stay sweet the whole time. They never go kind of tough and bitter like a lot of potting peas do. Mr. N. Let's go and have these. It's a roots day on the moon phase calendar, and I have just opened up the mesh on my red onion and shallot bed. And I must say, I am very, very pleasantly surprised, because let's talk about the shallots first, which are just in front of us. I have got two varieties in here. I've got one called Red Sun and another one called Golden Gourmet. They're very difficult to find seeds for these particular shallots, so that's why I grew these from sets. I wasn't sure, to tell you the truth, but they are absolutely fantastic. So I've just opened up the netting. The netting is on because of allium leaf miner, and when I have a particular day on the moon phase calendar, I open up my netting on all, well, I mean, I cover most of my crops nowadays for some reason or another, and I get in very, very close to the ground. I have a look, I do some weeding, I check for pest problems, I check for diseases as well, and these shallots in particular are absolutely perfect. We've obviously had the best weather for these alliums, because my red onions down the other end, I'm actually quite surprised that they haven't started to bolt earlier. They're just starting to form a few little flowers on a few of them, but that particular crop was only to go in there for a short period of time to take over from our stored onions. So a few of them had got the little flower heads are starting to form, so I am going to harvest those today and leave the rest in. I was expecting that to happen much earlier. I haven't got a huge bulb on them, but they are beautiful onions. You can use the greens on the top. We did the other day, actually. We harvested a few of them for kind of big spring onions. They're just starting to form bulbs at the bottom, and so they are absolutely perfect. Behind me, behind this polytunnel, is where our main crop onions are in. So they will then take over, and they hopefully won't go to seed because of when they went in. Those onions, those red onions, are called electric. I sowed them as sets, and I put them in December into modules, and then I planted them out. And they are absolutely beautiful. No issues with allium leaf miner. It's been great, really great. I'll give you a close-up of these shallots here, and one of them in particular is starting to lift itself out of the ground, and actually it is actually out of the ground. I'm going to harvest it now. So when shallots and any allium except garlic is ready, it tells you by pushing itself itself out of the ground. And this has done that. So here is a beautiful shallot, and I'm looking for the tag. This is Red Sun. Look how beautiful that is. Wow, fantastic. So now these come home and I'm going to start drying them, and we're going to have lovely, lovely shallots. I'm very happy with that. And that was as easy as it was. It just pushes itself out of the ground and they're ready. And onions do exactly the same thing as well. The only difference, like I said, is garlic. They don't do that. I'm just going to dig a little hole here just to make sure there were no issues with any pests in there that might have been eating the roots. And no, there isn't. So yes, so it's definitely ready. The other thing is also, and I'll show you a close-up of this, is they start to change colour and the outer layer of the skin starts peeling off, and that's when you know that they're really ready. So let's have a close-up and I'll show you these red onions and I'll show you how they're going to seed or to flower, and we're going to harvest those as well. So yeah, a very, very nice roots day. Here are the red onions. Look how fantastic they are. And this one, you can see, is forming a little flower there. So that is going to go to seed. The one behind I've already pulled out. Oh, can I get in there? I've already pulled the flower off, but I'm not going to pull the flower off the other ones because I need to know what I'm going to harvest. So I'm going to take this one home now, and the one behind it, and this one next to it as well. See that little seed head coming? You don't want these seed heads to get too big, because if they start to get too big, then the actual onion starts to get a little bit woody. So as soon as you see these seed heads coming up on an allium, except garlic, because garlic is different because you eat the seed head. If it's a hardneck garlic, which is called escape, that's different. You eat that and let it form garlic. But yeah, you don't want it to happen on these red onions here. So let's pull these up. So here is a clump of red sun, and you can see the color on this is beautiful and red. And see here, see how this is happening here? Well, when you actually tug on the plant, nothing happens at all. So you know that the plant is still good. Here's another one that's just about ready. Again, we've got this starting to happen. I'm tugging on it, nothing's happening. So I'm going through these and just checking to see whether I have ones that are ready or whether they're not ready, and a lot of them aren't. I don't understand. Maybe, I don't know why this one was ready, but it obviously was ready before everything else. I've got a little borage plant in there that's self-seeded. See that one? That's a nice, pull on that, nothing. Nice specimen, or a shallot as well. That one there, nice big shallots. So a new feature on my vlog is going to be my weekly harvest. So I just want to go through it with you quickly. In front of you, you can see I have some scarlet kale and some dwarf curly kale as well. Behind it are some leeks, and they're the last of the leeks that I overwintered. Then in the glass next to it, I have got some spring onions that I have overwintered as well. And they are my bulbing onions that I pick as spring onions. The glass next to that is some celery, and that celery has already been cut down once. So that's new season growth celery. Before I pull it out, and it will the new celery will take over. And I also have some garlic scapes, so we'll come around to those in a minute and you'll see that because they have come from my elephant garlic. So I've got some rhubarb, great time of year for rhubarb, everybody. And then I have, behind the rhubarb, I have perpetual spinach. That is the last of my perpetual spinach. And the true spinach is going to be taken over now. That is my first courgette in front of you there, or zucchini. The calabrese is coming thick and fast now. This is the calabrese that I had in the greenhouse over at the allotment, and I'm just harvesting its heads. Then I have lots of chard. So golden chard, I've got the Ford Hook giant chard, and I also have the red rhubarb chard, and that is the last of that for the year. Then I have one first shallot that came, that pushed itself out of the ground, and this is Red Sun, which is very exciting. Next to that are my first lot of broad beans that I've got in pots that I overwintered. They are ready. There's some more calabrese behind them. And these are swift potatoes that I had in pots. So they're absolutely delicious as well. Here are some onions. And I've picked these onions because they were just starting to have little flowers on them. So we're going to eat them as larger spring onions. The last lot, nearly the last lot of my strawberries that I'm growing in the greenhouse, they're nearly finished now, and then the ones outside will take over as well. These are my Oregon sugar pod, Monge 2 or snow peas, and behind them I've got my podding peas that I grew in pots, so they're doing really well as well. Here we have some more kale, curly and scarlet kale, and behind that this is a Salanova lettuce that I picked from the greenhouse. You saw me pick it, and that there is just one lettuce. That's why I grow these, because they are so wonderful. Behind that, we have the two types of parsley. That is now going to go to seed, but I've got new parsley coming. So I've got the curly behind, and this is the flat leaf in front. And last but not least is an elephant garlic that we had to dig up because it was in the bed that we wanted to plant our leeks into. So that is going to be absolutely delicious. There you have our harvest for the week.